Imagine gazing down from the heavens on a clear Middle Eastern night. The landscape below, usually defined by its arid expanses, transforms into a dazzling display of light. Cities like Tel Aviv and Tehran shine like jewels meticulously placed on a vast black velvet canvas. Each point of light represents countless lives, dreams, and ambitions, all interwoven in a complex tapestry of history and culture. Tel Aviv pulses with a vibrant energy along the Mediterranean coast, a modern metropolis where innovation meets ancient history. The city never sleeps, its rhythm a constant beat of creativity and commerce. Meanwhile, Tehran sprawls at the foot of the majestic Alborz Mountains, a sprawling urban landscape where millions reside. Its residential neighborhoods glow warmly with the lights of family life, a testament to the enduring values of home and community. These cities are not just geographical locations, they are beacons of culture, innovation, and commerce, hubs of activity that drive the region forward. But beneath the dazzling lights and bustling streets, another reality lurks, a hidden conflict that shapes the destiny of millions. This is a war without clearly defined front lines, a silent battle waged in whispers, encrypted code, and covert operations conducted in the shadows. It's a conflict where information is the most powerful weapon, and deception is a key strategy. The shadow war between Iran and Israel subtly, yet powerfully, shapes the entire region, influencing political decisions and impacting the lives of millions. Yet this conflict remains largely invisible to those living under its constant threat, a silent menace lurking beneath the surface of everyday life. For decades, these two powerful nations have been locked in a relentless struggle, a complex dance of influence, power projection, and ultimately survival. Each nation views the other as an existential threat, fueling a cycle of mistrust and animosity. Every action is meticulously calculated, and every move is met with a swift countermove. Explosions, often attributed to mysterious sources, cyberattacks that cripple critical infrastructure, and assassinations carried out with precision. These are all dispatches from a hidden front, evidence of a war that never truly sleeps. Modern warfare has evolved far beyond traditional battlefields. Plausible deniability is now a key component, and information, carefully curated and strategically deployed, is as valuable, if not more so, than ammunition. The ability to control the narrative is paramount. This is not a simplistic story of good versus evil, a clear-cut battle between right and wrong. Instead, it is a complex and nuanced narrative of two nations, each deeply convinced of its own righteousness, its own justification, and the very real existential threat posed by the other. The conflict smolders beneath the surface, a dangerous fire threatening to erupt at any moment. It is a precarious situation, always just one miscalculation, one misinterpreted signal, away from escalating into a devastating regional war with potentially global consequences. Before 1979, Israel and Iran were unlikely but close allies, united by Cold War pragmatism and shared enemies. Under the Shah, Iran was a pro-Western pillar, Israel a rising power in need of friends. Israel provided technology and intelligence. Iran supplied oil, defying Arab boycotts. The Mossad and Savak collaborated, and both nations quietly built a powerful axis. This partnership was deep but fragile, tied to the Shah and not the people. Beneath the surface, resentment simmered in Iran, especially among religious conservatives. The Shah's Western ties and modernization alienated many, fueling a growing sense of betrayal. This discontent would soon explode, toppling a king and shattering the alliance. The stage was set for a seismic shift that would redraw the Middle East. 1979 was an earthquake that sent tremors throughout the Middle East and the wider world. It was a year of profound change, a pivotal moment that reshaped the geopolitical landscape. The Iranian Revolution swept away the Shah, a long-standing U.S. ally who had ruled Iran for decades. His departure marked the end of an era, a shift in power that few could have predicted with such force, and installed the world's first Islamic Republic under the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini. This new theocratic state presented a radical departure from the previous regime, with far-reaching consequences. Iran's foreign policy flipped overnight, severing ties with the U.S. and Israel, relationships that had been carefully cultivated for years. This dramatic shift signaled a new direction for Iran on the global stage. The Israeli embassy became the PLO's, a symbolic gesture representing Iran's new allegiance to the Palestinian cause and its rejection of Israel's existence. Ayatollah Khomeini's regime declared Israel an illegitimate entity, a pariah state in their eyes, a cancer in the Islamic world, a phrase that encapsulated the depth of their animosity. Iran's revolutionary zeal fueled support for Shia Islamist movements across the region, providing them with resources, training, and ideological backing. This support would have a lasting impact on regional conflicts. The old alliance, once a cornerstone of regional security, was replaced by deep enmity and clashing worldviews, setting the stage for decades of conflict and mistrust. Israel lost a powerful ally, a strategic partner in a volatile region, and gained a relentless, ideologically driven foe, committed to its destruction. Iran's anti-Israel stance became central to its identity, woven into its national fabric, shaping its domestic and foreign policies for years to come. Even as Iran fought the Iran-Iraq War, a brutal and costly conflict, its commitment to Israel's destruction never wavered, remaining a constant in its foreign policy objectives. The stage was set for a new kind of conflict, fought with spies, operating in the shadows, gathering intelligence, and carrying out covert operations. Proxies, armed and funded by Iran, engaging in asymmetric warfare against Israel and its allies. And assassins carrying out targeted killings and sabotage operations, a constant undercurrent of violence in the region. Unable to fight Israel directly, Iran perfected proxy warfare. Tehran funded, trained, and armed militant groups, sharing its anti-Israel ideology, forming the axis of resistance. The Quds Force, led by figures like Qasem Soleimani, became the architects of this strategy. Iran's proxies, Hezbollah, Palestinian factions, and others became disciplined, loyal extensions of its will. This network gave Iran strategic depth, challenging Israel on multiple fronts. Proxy warfare allowed Iran to champion the Palestinian cause and undermine Arab states making peace with Israel. For Israel, the challenge was daunting. How to fight an enemy shielded by distance and deniability? Israel's answer: a relentless campaign of intelligence, airstrikes, and covert operations to disrupt Iran's proxy network. This shadow conflict became the new normal in the Middle East. Nowhere has Iran's proxy strategy been more successful than in Lebanon. After Israel's 1982 invasion, the IRGC helped create Hezbollah, a model proxy, both militia and political force. Hezbollah's insurgency forced Israel's withdrawal in 2000, a triumph for Iran's influence. The 2006 Lebanon War saw Hezbollah survive Israel's might, cementing its reputation. Today, Hezbollah's vast arsenal poses Israel's most direct military threat, acting as a powerful deterrent. The northern border remains a tinderbox, where the shadow war could ignite a regional conflict at any moment. Hezbollah stands as Iran's forward base, a permanent dagger aimed at Israel's heart. The threat is constant, the balance precarious. The Syrian civil war opened a new front in the shadow war. For Iran, Assad's survival was vital. Syria was the land bridge to Hezbollah. Tehran poured in resources and fighters, determined to keep the axis of resistance intact. Israel, alarmed by Iran's growing presence near its border, intensified its campaign of airstrikes in Syria. The battlefield became a deadly chessboard. Israeli jets struck Iranian targets, while Iran's proxies tried to entrench. The assassination of Qasem Soleimani was a blow, but Iran's mission continued. Israel's goal: prevent Syria from becoming another Lebanon, a launch pad for Iranian rockets. The airstrikes persist, a constant effort to contain Iran's ambitions. Syria remains the most volatile front, where the shadow war is most active. The risk of escalation is ever present. At the heart of the shadow war is Iran's nuclear program, an existential threat for Israel. Israel has waged a secret campaign to sabotage and delay Iran's nuclear ambitions. The first major salvo, Stuxnet, a joint US-Israeli cyberattack that crippled Iran's centrifuges. Cyber warfare set a new precedent, causing real-world damage from behind a keyboard. Alongside digital attacks came assassinations, nuclear scientists killed in Tehran operations attributed to Mossad. Iran hardened its sites, moving facilities underground and accelerating its program. The cycle of sabotage and advancement continues with mysterious explosions and fires at sensitive sites. Each incident is a reminder of the secret war raging beneath the surface. The nuclear gambit is the most dangerous front, where a single miscalculation could spark catastrophe. The stakes have never been higher. In the 2020s, the shadow war spilled onto the high seas. Attacks on oil tankers and cargo ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Oman signaled a new front. Iran used maritime attacks to threaten global oil flow and retaliate against sanctions. Israel responded by targeting Iranian ships smuggling oil and weapons. A tit-for-tat war played out in the waves, each side denying responsibility. Maritime escalation raised the stakes, risking global trade and drawing in international powers. High-profile assassinations inside Iran, like Mohsen Fakhrizadeh and Colonel Kodai, showed Israel's reach. The shadow war now spans land, sea, and cyberspace, ever closer to the brink. Take another look at Tel Aviv and Tehran, two metropolises, each a world unto itself. Two cities, vibrant and alive with the pulse of daily life, commerce, and culture. The streets teem with people, each with their own stories, dreams, and aspirations. Yet both are living under the long, dark shadow of a seemingly endless conflict. A conflict that threatens to engulf them at any moment. In Tel Aviv, families seek solace and joy on the beach, the waves a temporary escape from the tensions that permeate the air. They are determined to live fully, to embrace life's simple pleasures, despite the looming threats that cast a pall over their existence. Meanwhile, in Tehran, families gather for picnics in the city's parks, seeking refuge in nature's embrace. They are dreaming of a better future for their children, a future free from the burdens of sanctions and the constant drumbeat of war rhetoric. Both peoples, despite their differences, share a common desire: security and prosperity for themselves and their loved ones. But the insidious shadow war, fought in the realms of espionage and proxy conflicts, relentlessly shapes their reality, dictating their fears and limiting their hopes. The ideological chasm that separates them is deep and wide, fueled by historical grievances, political maneuvering, and a profound absence of trust. Hardliners on both sides, clinging to their entrenched positions, thrive on perpetuating the conflict, using fear and animosity to maintain their power. They are relentlessly pushing their nations closer and closer to the precipice of a full-scale confrontation, a war that could have devastating consequences for the entire region. The machinery of this shadow war, fueled by decades of mistrust and animosity, has developed its own dangerous momentum, making the prospect of lasting peace seem increasingly elusive. The future of these two nations, and indeed the entire region, hangs precariously in the balance. Will it be a further escalation of violence and hatred, or can a distant hope for meaningful dialogue and a cold yet stable peace emerge from the darkness? For now, the children in both Tel Aviv and Tehran continue to play, their laughter echoing in the streets and parks. They remain blissfully unaware that their fate, their very future, may be decided not on the playgrounds, but in the shadowy backrooms of power. The dawn remains uncertain, shrouded in mist and doubt, as the deadly game of shadows continues to be played out, with the lives of millions hanging in the balance.